What's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. I suppose today we're just gonna, we don't have a name for this yet. So we're just gonna kind of get into how both of us got into the fitness industry. We kind of, it's funny because we both know a little bit about each other's story, but I don't think we actually really know the full depth of it. So this will kind of be a bit of a learning thing here. So, where did it start for you?
For me, it definitely started, I have been an athlete my whole life. My grandma was in the Stanford Hall of Fame for tennis, and she got me started playing when I was 5 years old. And it wasn't really till after college that I decided to compete in my first competition, and just learning so much about my body throughout that process and just the value that it adds to my life, I wanted to attain certification to bring that value to other people.
Competition meaning tennis?
No, NPC.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right. So how far did you actually end up going with with tennis?
Tennis, I made it through varsity high school all 4 years and did intramural in college. But yeah, I lived abroad for a few years, so I had to kind of give it up at that point.
I got you. What ended up making that shift from the tennis world to fitness? Because I remember the first time that I saw you walk into the gym. I remember the first time that I saw you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what was that shift for you?
I worked with a friend of ours, Glenn Dawson, when I was playing intramural college, and just had a few training sessions with him. And yeah, I think after that, I've just always kind of been athletic, worked out a lot, took good care of myself, wanted to kind of take it to the next level. And doing a show contest prep was that for me, and that's kind of what it spurred out of that. Mm-hmm.
And then, so from there you started training with him, you did a few sessions with him and stuff, and then what kind of led you to taking it on your own, continuing to do that as opposed to the majority of people where it's just kind of okay, well, I have this coach, this has been fun, and then, a lot of people end up falling off at that point. What was it that actually kept you going?
I think I just saw definitely the added value in a lot of different areas of my life, not just physically, but you take care of one system of the body, a lot of the other ones kind of cascade and fall in line behind that. In times when I'd stop working out for say 1 or 2 weeks, I could really notice a change in my body, and just that it didn't feel quite as good. So
just kind of one of those things where you started feeling the actual value of it, and then it was as soon as you stopped, you're this is starting to not feel as great,
Definitely.
Not being there. Yeah, I got you. So how did you end up making that shift into becoming a coach?
I was working with a friend of mine who was doing a competition. She was studying nutrition, and we both worked out so much together, and we both were actually bartenders at the time.
This is Brittany?
Yeah, Brittany Reed.
Yep. Avexia, at Avexia KC, I think, if anyone wants to go check out her stuff.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. She is so intelligent.
Yeah, her and her husband, they've got some cool content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after that, she kind of started segueing out of the bar, and I just followed suit too. That it was decent money, but I knew I wanted to connect with people in a more authentic way, and that type of work just didn't have it for me. Mm-hmm. So I kind of followed suit with her. I'd worked out at the gym for so long, talked to the GM, and she's like, I'll pay for your certification if you come work for us for a year at least. And so that's kind of what got me in the door.
Is that Michaela?
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. That's wild, man.
I know. All the
that's
connections.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. So the very first time that I ever actually saw you was, I think, not long after I had met Brittany the first time. And obviously the reason that both of you stuck out to me, and it's such a you're both very tall, beautiful people. So it's I remember meeting her and then meeting you, and then at some point in time, this is around the not to mention the gym, but the gym that I was training at, there was so much turmoil going on with all the all the trainers and stuff like that it seemed like you kept getting passed between different trainer and different trainer and different trainer and different trainer, and then finally at the time I was training there, you ended up getting put onto my schedule for not that long.
It was a few weeks.
Yeah.
I had a few extra sessions left, and I'm like, I'm gonna go use them up with you.
Yeah, and that was actually where we found out that we were both like big poetic crybabies too. Yeah. So what is, I guess, your big focus? That really grabs you about fitness. It's this broad thing, and I guess if you were going to give the Cliff Notes version of what you do now, and what really keeps you going in the fitness world, what would that be?
It's a good question. I definitely have a pretty sickening passion for the human body and just studying it. And just since being in the fitness industry, I've just, with CEUs and just self-study and wanting to learn different aspects of well-being and the body in general and how to kind of create change, it's led me to get my LMT. So I do a lot of structural integration type of hands-on therapy. The intention has always been to help bring that value to people, because I feel like any of these modalities that you use, whether it's exercise or mindfulness or breath work, where you're growing your awareness, that in a sense is helping you to like grow and evolve in a way that, in like this image that you have for yourself, and kind of accompanying people on that road of that inner work and transformation. There isn't really a career I could even think of that gives that same value. You know? So for me, it's like intention. It's such a cool way to be able to help people.
It's really interesting too. I know there's an actual statistic for this, but they did a thing where it was like people losing weight while practicing some form of mindfulness and those who were not, and it's like drastically higher adherence and long-term benefit, but even like the speed of getting the results when someone actually has a mindfulness practice alongside of it, because what a lot of people I think miss when it comes to their health and fitness is like looking at the root of why they are the way they are, where why they are where they're at. So it's like somebody gains 80 pounds or something like that. Oftentimes, if you go back far enough into someone's past, you end up discovering like there was something that took place not long before that ended up doing something to them that created this like shift. So having the breath work, the mindfulness and stuff like that you do was something that I think you took to easier than I did. Because like for me, it was always one of those things where all these people that I really admired, they were all like, oh yeah, like I meditate and I do this and I do that, and I'm like okay, like, well, yeah. I was like, you sit in a room and be quiet, and like that was punishment 10 years ago. But it was actually Brandon was the very first person. Yeah, Brandon was the very first person who ever really got me to meditate, and I don't even know how we got into it, but somehow he ended up, and he was one of those people that I saw as like, like has their shit together, and is a talented and intelligent and confident person. And I was like, okay, well, I'm doing the whole gym thing, I'm eating food, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I was like, what if this is the key? And and I will say, it did have a significant impact on me. There's been like some really meaningful meditations that I've done in the past, and I think I told you about the one, and I'll end up talking about it eventually, but I mean, there was the one time that I meditated while I was at a PT certification actually, and I don't know how long we were there, but I mean, I like came out of it sobbing, and I was, like, it's one of those things that there's a reason it's a practice. Like you do get better at it, you do have to keep it up though.
There's also too a reason why that type of like tradition or like science has been around for so long.
Yes, absolutely.
Yoga, stretching, meditation, breath work, those are thousands of year old practice,
Yeah.
So
it's one of those, It's one of those tough things, and we were literally just talking about this a little bit ago, where it's mindfulness, meditation, breath work, all those more esoteric practices, they kind of toe that line of, is this real or is this placebo? And the thing that makes it a lot more difficult, especially when you get even more into the weeds with the even more esoteric stuff of like, chakras and muscle testing and stuff like that. There's not always things that like you can test, but it's like the more that we look into meditation and breath work and mindfulness, the more stuff keeps coming out showing that this is an important part of it. And I think as time has gone on, we get even less and less and less of that. I mean, probably the only time that I can think of that the average person has purely quiet time, a moment to be like mindful, I suppose, would be the shower. Like,
oh yeah,
there aren't many other times during somebody's day where they are in pure silence by themselves, focusing on them. And I mean, even like driving a car, people, now it's music, or now it's, a podcast, and I'm guilty of that. Like, I always have a podcast in my ears, but I remember getting to a point where I actually started playing music while I was in the shower, and I can't say what it was, but I remember there being a shift where I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
It just took you out of it.
Yeah. And like some of, it's funny, but like some of your best ideas happen when you're in the shower and you're just like, and like you just have like an epiphany, because it's like the only time where it's like your body finally gets to, talk to you or whatever. But yeah, anyway.
I think with that too, it's like something that's so overlooked by people, especially in like the fitness community. You look at all these approaches at creating change in the body, and a lot of times that's done through like it's facilitated by these methods that are adding stress. You want to add strength, you're like trying to tear down the fibers, and that is good over time. But one thing, a system of the body that's so overlooked is the nervous system and its role, because you're constantly, you have all these nerve innervations that are interpreting data, everything you're seeing, sight, color, all the senses that your body's feeling. Those are all things that it's interpreting, and that is a lot of like brain chatter that's going on, and when that happens, a lot of time people are breathing more rapidly, and just with like modern society and posture, people breathe in their chest. They're not diaphragmatic breathers. And what that happens having such a slow, shallow breath constantly is that it increases your heart rate, It's activating the sympathetic nervous system, which is causing stress to enter your body, which also slows down digestion and all these systems.
That was the biggest freaking aha for me ever, because so when someone actually pointed that out to me, like how much your breath and even like vibration in your voice and stuff like that, and there's to go back to what you were saying earlier of there's a reason that we've done these things for so many years. A lot of meditation has that like that kind of vibration,
chanting,
like oming or chanting or something like that linked to it. When I was a kid, I had horrible gut issues. Like I had colitis. I believe I was 12 or 13, but I mean it was months before somebody actually diagnosed it, because they're like, this doesn't happen in kids this young. And I remember being a kid and dealing with these horrible gut issues, and I would just sit in bed and I would just go hands on my tummy, and I'm just trying to like get my breath lower and lower and lower, and then I'd sit there and I would just and like just breathe and vibrate, and I never knew why I did it, but it always helped. And I think that's there's something to say for the knowledge of the body, like it oftentimes, and it's funny because it's like, where do you and your body separate, and that's a whole different discussion, but there's things that your body can often tell you that you and your conscious brain might not be aware of. And it was something that I had done my entire life. And, still to this day, sit in bed, and if my stomach hurts, I will sit there and I will breathe, and I will, hum and vibrate my body and all these different things. And it actually took a PT certification where they linked those two, and they're like, oh yeah, this has a significant impact on digestion. And I was like, oh shit, that's why I've been doing that thing forever. It's like intuitive. Exactly. So that wisdom of the body, that intuition is so crazy, so strange. But with your practice and what you personally do with clients, because we have a fairly, I wouldn't say to a T, but you and I probably do 95% the same assessment, and then there's obviously things that we do on our own, just based on what we've seen with clients, habits that we've gotten into, looking into. With what you do, you've got to integrate the diet, the nutrition, the breath work, and you have this extra thing of massage, that there's a massage table right behind you. If you were going to take just an average person off the street and they just said, hey, I want to get healthy, where would you start them?
I definitely would start with assessment, for sure. Yeah, getting a broad enough amount of data just so that what you're really kind of tracking and the progress that you're trying to make, but then you have all these different yielded results that support that you're moving in that direction. So for keeping a client motivated, that's highly important.
I love that you didn't just pick one, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that the answer is essentially oh, I'm not going to point somebody to any of these. It depends. It's always, it's the most annoying thing about, being in the fitness world is everything is, it depends. Everything is, it depends.
The body is very individual, and all the things that a lifetime of experience, it kind of compounds, so you have to kind of meet the people where they need to be met and see what works and support that, encourage it, and
just continue to help them to be the best version of them. Well, anyway, I guess we'll kind of let that wrap up for episode 1. This is Dustin. This is his whole.
This is my debut.
Hey guys, we hope to see you in the next episode. We'll kind of go into my whole spiel and who I am, I suppose. So until next time, guys, we'll see you all later.